everybody, my name is Tanya and this is the Library Lovers tag. So this tag was created by Josie from piques and I was tagged by Yamini from the Skeptical Reader, and the questions are all about libraries. So the first question is, how often do you visit your local library? And this kind of depends on your definition. The answer is either 5 days a week or never. So as I've mentioned before, I've always worked in libraries and my job these days is in the regional headquarters of a library corporation. So I work in kind of the central administration office in the IT department. So I technically don't work in a library. I do occasionally visit branches through my work or just because, but for the most part I get my books delivered to me at the headquarters, which I work 5 days a week. At the moment, the corporation I work for, we're building a new library, a new main library, and once that's completed later in the year, the building that I work in, the staff will be transferred to the 4th floor of that building, so the central administration will then be in our main library. So in a few months' time, if you're asked that question, I will very easily be able to say 5 days a week because I will be in an actual library building and there will be floors of stock. And I'm really looking forward to moving into that building. So at the moment, I don't often go to libraries per se, but I'm in something library related 5 days a week. So the second question is, are you the type of person who checks out more books than you can read? Or are you someone who only checks out the exact amount of books you intend on reading before they are due? And too many. I always check out too many books. I go through stages where I don't really borrow books from the library much at all. As you're aware, I've got a huge collection of my own that I need to read through. And I go through huge sections where I don't borrow anything at all. And then it kind of hits me and I borrow way too many at once and I never read them. And I go back, the amount of books that I borrow and return unread is ridiculous. Only borrowing the amount of books that you can read, who does that? The third question is, how old were you when you got your first library card? And the answer to that is 5. However, I was introduced to the library at 2. My mother would bring me each week, but we borrowed on her library card. And I've spoken about this before in a video. When I was 2.5, I actually had my photo in the local paper using the library, and we'll put the photo back up here again. I've had it in another video, but just so you can awe over it again. So I was using her card regularly as a little child, but I got a card of my own at 5. And the reason that I got a card of my own then was that the mobile library visited my primary school, and the first visit when I was in prep at age 5, we all got signed up and got our own library cards so we could borrow from the mobile bus when it came out each month, I guess. And I still have that original card. There's been a couple of different card replacements since then, so I have 3 cards from that library service, but I still have my original one that I got in 1993. Yeah. The fourth question is, do you go to the library looking for a particular book or do you just borrow anything that piques your interest? I do a little bit of both, but generally I am looking online and ordering my books online, and as I said, they come into us at the headquarters and I borrow them from there. So all my ordering is kind of done through the catalogue. But when I was working in branches, it was definitely kind of, if I spotted something going past or something on the shelf, I would grab it then. But at this point in time, it's specific books that I've ordered to come in. The fifth question is, do you use the library only to check out books, or do you borrow audiobooks or DVDs, etc.? I primarily borrow just books and audiobooks. Occasionally I'll borrow a DVD, but I think it's very rare that I've managed to borrow a DVD and watch it before it's due back. It never happens. I borrow the DVD and 9 times out of 10, probably more, it goes back unwatched. So I don't often borrow DVDs from the library just because I never get around to them, which is probably, you know, very true of the books too. But for the most part, I borrow just books and audiobooks, and sometimes ebooks as well. The sixth question is, from what section of the library do you borrow most of your books? So from adult fiction, from YA, from middle grade, from blah blah blah. And the majority of books that I borrow are from the adult fiction section. And the seventh question is, what is your favourite part about using your local library? And I guess my favourite part is supporting my workplace, but I love being able to get things that I don't necessarily have myself, to try things that I hear on BookTube that I don't necessarily want to invest in buying, although I don't have all that much trouble with that because I do tend to buy a lot. I really should use the library a lot more than I do. I've always worked in libraries and I still have a massive book collection. I probably should have been borrowing all of those from the library the whole time, and but I love my own personal library that I have at home and I wouldn't change anything, but it is kind of ridiculous how much I buy considering I have access to all of those books. I make no sense. So I haven't looked at all who's been tagged in this one and who's done it already, so I'm not going to tag anybody in particular. I should have been a little bit more organised, but so I tag anybody who uses their local library, and who hasn't been tagged yet, I tag you. As always, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!